Joining us now from Washington, D.C. is Ali Vaez. He is the International Crisis Group's Iran Project Director. Ali, thanks so much for your time for TRT World. Now, if Iran is behind the attacks, what kind of message it wants to send?
Look, if Iran is behind the attacks, in fact, is trying to impose a cost on the U.S. and its allies for trying to strangulate the Iranian economy by trying to cut off Iran's oil export. The Iranians had always said that if the U.S. prevents them from exporting oil, no country in the region would be able to do so. But if Iran is not behind the attacks, and at this stage, I think there is not enough evidence for us to be able to say one way or another, despite what Secretary Pompeo said, if Iran is not behind the attacks, then it is being framed and it's being blamed for it by maybe another actor in the region who would benefit from putting Iran and the U.S. on a collision course.
Well, Pompeo said Iran did it based on U.S. intelligence and attacks. Now, if Iran is behind the attacks, what can they gain from attacking tankers in the Gulf?
Well, if they are behind the attack, they are trying to deter the U.S. from increasing the pressure on their oil exports. They are trying to increase the oil prices globally so they can compensate to the extent possible for the loss of their exports. But you know, at the end of the day, I think the Iranians understand full well that they would not be able to shut down the Strait of Hormuz because that would invite a direct strike by the U.S. on Iranian soil, and the U.S. would eventually be able to reopen it. And the Strait of Hormuz is also Iran's own lifeline. So the likelier scenario, if the Iranians are to continue on this path, is to put pressure on the Saudi and the Emirati oil export in the Red Sea and Bab el-Mandeb.
Trump said just a few weeks ago, U.S. may have a new deal with Iran soon. How likely is this to happen now after these latest developments?
Look, it is not likely to happen as long as the Trump administration is holding a gun to Iran's head. The Iranians have said that they don't think that the Trump administration is serious and is actually genuinely pursuing a diplomatic settlement with Iran because it is continuing to ratchet up the pressure of sanctions on the Iranians. And the only way that this could change is for the president to, first of all, appoint people in his national security team who are not known for being regime change advocates and advocates of a military confrontation with Iran. And he should also step aside from this maximalist demands that basically amount to an Iranian capitulation. That's the only scenario in which one can imagine a renewed round of talks between Iran and the U.S.
And what will the economic reaction of global oil markets be after this?
Look, obviously, the markets are rattled as a result of this, and they fear that this would either increase tensions in ways that would result in further escalation in the region, or that it would result in some sort of a military clash between Iran and the U.S. And as long as this situation continues, I think the market would be extremely uncomfortable and we would see an increase in oil prices globally, which coincides with slowing down of the global economy, which would also reduce the demand.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Ali Vaez, the International Crisis Group's Iran Project Director. Thanks so much for that analysis for us.